Merry Christmas!
Good morning. My name is Malcolm Graham-Wood, and I'm here again to do another TIP TV CEO interview. Today, my victim is Hugh Mackay, who's the CEO of Europa Oil Gas. Good morning, Hugh. It's lovely to see you again. We've had you in here before a little while ago, so nice to see you, and looking forward to hearing about everything that's going on at Europa. So it was about a year or so ago that we last caught up, and a lot has happened in Europa since then. Why don't you give us a sort of a broad overview of what's been happening, and then I'll sort of tap you for specifics.
Okay, well, good morning, Malcolm. Great to be back. Okay, well, a year ago, when I do my ranking on AIM by market cap, we were 57th. We're now in a band between 40th and 45th, so we are continuing our steady upward progress on AIM. So, clearly we're doing something right in there. Today, oil price is $55, which is significant for us because on our present oil production of about 120 barrels a day, we're breaking even on an operating cash flow basis. So that's great to be back in that position. It means we're not having to go out to raise money to pay salaries and to pay overhead. Once we get Wressle on production, we'll have a combined production of 220 barrels a day. That means we can break even at an operating cash flow level down to $30 a barrel. So in much better shape than we were a year ago. We've also done some transactions in the UK, which means we are funded for 2017. So if you're an investor out there thinking, Europa's got to have a fundraise coming, we haven't. We're ready to go.
Okay, so before we go on to the Irish part of the portfolio, I'd like to, as you mentioned, I've noticed you've been doing a bit of what I call portfolio management in the UK onshore part of the portfolio with a few announcements here and there. What have you been up to?
Well, in terms of portfolio management, 5 new licenses in Ireland, we'll cover that later. 3 new licenses in the UK, and we subsequently consolidated that down to 2 after a transaction with Shale Petroleum, who decided they didn't want to stay in the UK. We bought them for $1 and then focused on the Cloughton and Hardstoft licenses, which are both appraisal. Cloughton's gas, potentially a lot of gas, over 160 BCF, and Hardstoft, an oil field. A lot of romance there, the original UK oil field, found in 1919, and the Upland CPR, it's got 3.1 million barrels of 2C resources in it. So that's a great project to have. We have farmed out Holmwood, some of Holmwood to Union Jack. We sold 3.3% of Wressle, well, the license to Union Jack, and then subsequently also sold 10% of Wressle to Upland. So we got £600,000 from Union Jack, and the Upland deal will initially yield £1.6 million, and in due course 1.85. So, it's been an interesting year. We always have 2 or 3 conversations about business development going on. This year we've landed several, and I think it's indicative that I think market conditions are improving. People are being more sensible about their expectations, and also, in the case of Upland and Union Jack, they were able to raise money. So it's a better business environment generally for the juniors and for Europa.
And Wressle will come on stream next year. You're fully funded, and it'll just add to your cash receipts.
That's right. That's right. It'll add to the cash, and that should come on stream in the first half of next year.
And Holmwood will drill as well next year.
Holmwood we're going to drill next year, so we're funded for that, and we're very excited about it. The results of the Horse Hill well, which are only 12 kilometres away, UCOG are a partner. We think it's a great conventional oil discovery, and it's actually got direct read across to Holmwood, so we're feeling very positive about it, but first we need to drill it.
Excellent. Right, I've noticed a new phrase has crept into the Europa lexicon, and I understand that Atlantic Ireland is your way of describing all the things that have been going on now. Why don't you just rattle through the asset bag that you've got in Ireland now, and then we'll sort of try and pick off a few where you can be a bit more detailed.
Yeah, I mean, we've borrowed the phrase from the Irish government, who had what they described as the Atlantic Ireland licensing round, which they launched, which they awarded this year. And it describes all the basins off the west coast of Ireland. And certainly when you look at the Atlantic generally is a hotspot at the moment. Huge amount of investment going on offshore in Newfoundland and the Flemish Pass Basin, where inspired by the Statoil success at Bay du Nord. And my observation is the major oil companies, it's almost like a game of chicken. They're waiting for the first company to go out and make a discovery. And once that discovery is made, they are prepared to spend money. So $2 billion has been committed over the last 2 years for exploration, which would be remarkable at any oil price, let alone 50. 2 weeks ago, BP and their partners, Noble and Hess, committed a $400 million work program. And because it's Canada, within 25 days, you got to hand over $100 million cash. And I think the read across for Ireland, apart from the clear geological read across, is that once there is commercial or potentially commercial discovery off Ireland, the big companies will be prepared to spend billions of dollars in exploration. First, we have to get there. So that's a little bit of backdrop generally in the Atlantic. In terms of our portfolio in Atlantic Ireland, it's not only been transformational for Ireland in terms of getting major oil companies back in the basin, BP, Eni, Statoil, Nexen, Exxon, spending money already. It's also been a turnaround for us. We got 5 licenses in the round, more than any other company. We have 7 licenses in 3 basins and across the 6 plays in Ireland. So when we went into Ireland in 2011, we were really focused on the Cretaceous fan play, thinking of Jubilee. Now we've got the Paleocene play, Cretaceous fan, Cretaceous shelf, pre-rift, syn-rift, and Triassic gas, spanning the range of risk. So everyone thinks, Ireland, it's all high risk and deep water. Some of it is, but we have 2 licenses next to Corrib. So that's infrastructure-led exploration. If we think we've got a TCF of gas there, and the hope would be to tie it back into Corrib. So we're very interested that read in the Sunday Times that Macquarie, amongst others, may be looking to take Shell's stake in Corrib. So if they're looking to add on new production, then we may have it. So that's at the lower risk end of the spectrum. South Porcupine is kind of in the middle, and we've got 2 drill-ready prospects there. And finally, the Porrick Basin at the moment is high risk, but we can de-risk it at very little cost because it's already very well covered by seismic.
I'll come back to the South Porcupine in a minute, if I may. I assume that effectively all these properties are up for farm out. You've mentioned in a couple of speeches you made recently that you're seeing strong interest in the data rooms here. I think in the AGM statement you said that the Atlantic Island is the rapidly emerging exploration hotspot.
Well, actually, I'd say it's arrived.
So tell me, in the farm-out stakes, where are we?
Well, to some extent, our investors are saying, he was banging on about farm-out last year. It's gone slower than we hoped, but we have to move at the pace of the buyers. So, interestingly, we started off this time last year with a long list of about 50 companies that we were looking to entice to interest in coming into the data room. Then you reduce that to about 12 that are seriously interested, and then about 6 who haven't said no, been in the data room, are interested, but aren't ready to commit. We've noticed that in the second half of the year, companies who a year ago were saying no, it wasn't particularly no to Ireland, it was just no new ventures. Now the same companies are coming back to us saying different people, because there's been a lot of churn at these companies, and so it's new people coming back saying, we're interested in new ventures. What have you got? So our short list has doubled. We're back in double figures again. But we have to be patient. And Antrim weren't patient, and they've now dissolved the company and sold their position for $250,000. I'm sure Providence we're speaking to the same companies we were, and they've elected to raise the money and drill next year. To channel Kevin Keegan, I would love it if they make a discovery. They're addressing the Paleocene and the Cretaceous fan play. So if it's a discovery, that's fantastic for everyone, actually. if it isn't a discovery, then that doesn't write off Triassic gas, Synrift, pre-rift.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of diversity in our portfolio now, so one well doesn't kill us. And what I'm hoping is we've had 28 licenses awarded this round, some of them to super majors who have already started acquiring seismic. They're not acquiring seismic for the sake of collecting it. They will go to drill.
Yeah.
If all 28 licenses and the 11 that are already issued in the last round went to phase 2, that's 40 wells. Now, we're not going to get 40 wells, but I'd suggest that over the next 5 or 6 years, we may get something between half a dozen and a dozen wells drilled. And we need to be part of that. And that's why our strategy for Ireland is progress all our licenses.
And you've said that you've got 2 drill-ready prospects already, and you've also said that it's your objective to generate as many as 6 drill-ready prospects. What's the timescale for that?
2018. We want to have 6 drill-ready prospects by 2018, so that we're in a position to either react to other people's success by being a fast follower, or if we've got a farming partner, drill the wells ourselves and we trailblaze to success. But to get that half dozen in, because I think the tide has now turned in Ireland. There will be drilling, but we have to be patient. It's not going to be well, there is 1 well next year, potentially 1 well the year after in 2018 with Woodside. And then by the end of next year, the companies like Woodside, Statoil and Exxon, who have acquired seismic this summer, they'll have a prospect inventory next year, and we'll be in a position to consider which ones do we want to drill.
Yeah. We talked about South Porcupine, and I've got it on probably the most marketable of your assets list. Is that? Do you think that's right at the moment, or?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends what you want. But if you're after the Cretaceous, the Cretaceous plays, pre-rift and synrift, medium risk, then we've got that drill. Well, the FEL 313 is drill ready. A CPR by ERC Equipoise, who I would regard as a blue chip provider with 1.5 billion barrels of oil across 3 prospects. Next to it, we've got 16.2 covered by the seismic that Cosmos paid for, and that's pre-rift prospectivity and potentially getting on for 1 billion barrels there. So we've been mapping that in a lot of detail now. We've initiated the CPR process, so there will be, that's. Some companies are interested in the fan, some are more pre-rift orientated.
Yeah.
And then if you're thinking about gas, then there's Corrib, which is 500-meter water depth, rig rates $100,000 a day at the moment, and it's a tieback. So it's not another $3 billion of capex for a development as the Shell group.
Good. Now, before we go, there's 2 or 3 questions I have to ask. You've always got in your presentation, which is on the website, a wonderful chart which shows just how rich your shareholders might become if this works out. It's a handy slide in giving an idea for a shareholder what the upside is. And although some people tend to say about these things, well, it is upside and everything else. What do you think? I mean, talk us through as if you had that chart in front of you and just say.
Yeah, well, the looking at the chart, the P80 is 15p now. Back in 2012, E&P companies tended to trade on their P80, but as we all know, the sector's gone through a hard time. So maybe if we get back to normal, even on our P80, that's a 3-bagger. The P50 is 50p. So that's a 1 in 2 chance of a 10-bagger.
Yeah.
And the P20 is £2.64. So I did the maths this morning. If you buy shares today, that's a 1 in 5 of a 58-bagger. So that's the investment proposition. And it's all in Ireland. Really, if you're looking to be the next Cove, which we are, then the big success where if a definition of success is that of the late Bob Gannicott, it's where you've got the major oil companies crawling over broken glass to buy you. And that can, in our portfolio, that can come in Ireland, where the points are potentially on the table with billions of barrels of oil. Now, we prove that by the drill bit, but it's coming over the next 5 or 6 years. So that's our direction of travel, is to generate half a billion to a billion barrels of oil through the drill bit. And for a company like Europa, that's the exit, that's the liquidity event, is making a big discovery in Ireland.
And so over the next 2 years, do you reckon there will be a number of wells drilled by you and other people, and your commitments are fairly limited, so your cash flow, I'm still trying to get
no, the cash flows in Ireland, the commitment for the new licenses, the commitment cash flow is really light. Across the 5 new licenses over a 2 or 3 year period, it's about €1 million all up, which we can fund. It's the question for us is, do we accelerate? How do we accelerate it? When do we bring in farming partners? Because we don't want to sort of sit and do as little as possible for as long as possible. We want to have our foot on the gas and pushing all our projects through to drill ready status, and then bring in farming partners to get them drilled.
Fantastic. The time is running out. It goes so quickly, and there's such an exciting story to tell. Just as a sort of final bit, why don't you just give me a vision? You've done it pretty well in the last 15 to 20 minutes, but one last thing to leave us with.
Well, we always say that the next year is going to be pivotal for us, but in 2017, we are going to consolidate our cash flow by Wressle coming on stream, and most importantly, I think farm-ins are probably going to come in 2017. We have to be patient, so we will be moving that forward. And from speaking to our nomad and the broker, in terms of things that will start to move our share price, getting Wressle on stream, drilling a discovery at Holmwood, and for me, most importantly, getting farming partners in Ireland, because the big ticket exit is from getting a well drilled in Ireland that brings in the billion barrel discovery.
That's lovely. Hugh Mackay, today's CEO interview. Thank you very much, Hugh, for coming along. Thank you very much for watching. I look forward to seeing you again soon. And if not, have a very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!